to get back on the rails here, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Cap Friendly and how Cap Friendly updated their numbers. This podcast will go out on Sunday. We're recording early. Today, which is Thursday, and so we actually have some updated numbers for what the cap space is looking like for the Coyotes, because I'll be honest, I wasn't going to be willing to do all that math because my brain will not compute. We do have a couple RFAs that we need to sign, including, I have the list here, Lawson Cross, Kristen Fisher, Barrett Hayden, Capobianco, Cam Dineen, and that looks to be it for RFAs that need to get signed. Coronar as well, but
you just let Kozanosh go. He sucked last year.
Kozanosh.
You already brought Ivan back. You have David Tendick down there in the A. I think there's, I don't know why. Rasmus Cronin, I have no idea why I forgot his name for a second. So you're going to have goalies down there. I assume Ivan, this is going to be the year where they're going to have him up most of the year and really see, like, hey, what do we have in this goaltender at the NHL level, and then probably go from there. Yeah. So they should be fine. The Roadrunners can sign an extra goalie or two as well if they need to. I don't think they have to worry about Kozanosh. On the defensive end, I would say prioritize Cap at like a 2-year extension, but it wouldn't be a very long or very high dollar extension. Cam Dineen's a 50-50. I liked what he did, but I also feel almost anyone else they could get could fill the exact same 7th D kind of role. Connor Timmins is going to be coming back. Maybe you sign him, maybe you don't. I'll leave it up to GMBA. I know Lawson Cross, they already said they were already focusing on that like towards the end of the season. And Christian Fisher, I've been saying he sucks for years. Just let him go. You can like him all you want, anyone watching. I don't. I think he's overrated as hell. Lawson Cross fills the exact same role but can actually score. Just move on from Fisher. You have Liam O'Brien. He doesn't do much, but he does more than Fisher, I guess.
Yeah. I hate to say it. I love Fisher as a person. He had one of my favorite answers of all time when they were talking about what was your most favorite Christmas food. And nobody else said it except for him, this is my favorite as well, which is the mashed potatoes and gravy. He was the only guy to say that, and I was like, yes, you're my favorite, Christian Fisher, because that is my favorite as well. I love the mashed potatoes and gravy. And I mean, my guess is they probably will bring him back, but for no more than league minimum, less than a mil over league minimum, somewhere in there. It would be my guess. But just to quickly go over this list here. So we have Lawson Cross, probably about $2 million, I would say, like if I had to guess. So that's $2 million. Christian Fisher, less than $1 million. I'm just gonna peg it at $1 million just to make the math easy. So that's $3 million. Barrett Hayden, once again, probably another $2 million. Like
I was gonna say, do you give him 2.25 because you're gonna want him on like a 3-year contract because this is kind of like his big bridge to see what are you gonna become. So you get. Obviously, with the pretty good two-way play, you give him his little pay raise and kind of see where it goes from there.
So I would say like $2 million as well, like a 2x2. That would be my guess, because remember, he hasn't played all that much either. Like he's been constantly injured, so he doesn't have the games played to really like demand a lot of money. So I would go with $2 million. So that's $5 million right there. As for Capobianco, probably another $1 million. So that's $6 million. Cam Dineen, I mean, it's going to be a league minimum $750K if he even gets signed, but we'll just put him on that list just to have him. So we'll put $750K. I'm going to round up to make the math easy. So that's about $7 million of players that you need to get signed. Currently, the Coyotes have cap space of $33 million. So to minus the math on that, that is $26 million that they have to play with this season. And remember, that's also including, because we are in the offseason, that's also including the IR contracts, which is Brian Little, which is another $5 million that will be pulled back once we hit, I think, preseason or something like that. So if we add that math on top of it, technically the cap space that they have going into the season is also another $5 million of the 26. So that is $31 million.
$31 million?
That they currently have.
Listen, we could go get John Tavares.
Oh, God. No.
But like, just to put it in perspective, like if the Coyotes truly wanted to, just with the cap space, not with like, oh hey, you're gonna be playing in like a 5,000 seat arena, just cap space alone, take everything else to the side, they could go get the 3 top free agents just with FU money if they chose to. What they should do and what they're going to do is they're going to take bad contracts that teams really can't maximize value on just to move on from so they can get better upgrades and players throughout. We're going to be getting some draft picks, some pretty good prospects, and one by a Mr. Audie James. He was DMing me asking me what the Coyotes would probably do to take on, was it Nikita Zaitsev? I want to make sure I'm getting the name correctly. And I just threw out probably a second-round pick and a decent prospect because his cap space, $4.5 million cap hit for the next 2 years, isn't as high as Ladd's. It's a little bit lower, so it's not going to be a first. Probably isn't going to be 2 seconds. But I can see a second-round pick and like a decent prospect, or probably like a middle of the road kind of guy you can plug into the roster this year with an expiring contract.
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely say that. I would say it's either going to be like a second and then like a B tier prospect, or maybe a third and an A tier prospect, or just the contract and a really good prospect. A name that I would put out there as a really good prospect, which I don't think they're going to get rid of. Let me be very, very clear here. But I do really like Shane Pinto on that team. I seriously doubt that they will trade him to us. But if you put like a Shane Pinto and Nikita Zaitsev on that contract, I would be okay with that. But I doubt that. Just for people who don't know who Shane Pinto is, he's a second-round pick in 2019, and he is a big boy. He is 6'2", 195 on cap friendly, but I personally think he might be a little bit bigger. He seems like a 6'3", 6'4 type player. He is a big guy. He is very physical, and I'm very enamored with his play. I think he's a very good player. So could make sense for them though. Like if they go out there and they are going after like a legitimate first line center to bump Stutzel down, they no longer need a Shane Pinto. That could be an option for them. Is that going to be the case? I don't know. They do have some pretty good center depth on that team as well. So a Shane Pinto may not be necessary for them. Just food for thought.
Any other bad contracts you're thinking of? So anyway, Audie, yes, we'll take him, but we would like a Pinto bean and a second-round pick. Anyway, so any other bad contracts you can think of? Obviously, I have no idea why my brain was thinking this. I was thinking Suter and Parise, but they're buyouts. They're not active contracts anymore, at least the way that it is, and you can't just trade off a buyout penalty.
Nope.
But what are some contracts you could think of other than maybe like Shea Weber that are probably like really going to be on this market?
So obviously Shea Weber, like you just said, would be one. Another thought process that I had for bad contracts, I mean, San Jose has a ton of them, but I don't want those because they go on for literally forever. So I don't think those will be moved. I'm trying to think of another bad contract.
But you know what? It would be ironic to punish EK65 if he didn't have a no-trade clause. I'm pretty sure his contract has a no-trade clause. But he's like, oh, I'm not here for a rebuild. But it's like, but you literally took up, what was it, $11 million in cap space, and there's nothing, that there's no wiggle room here. I think that would be funny.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think he has a no-trade clause. I wouldn't mind Marc-Edouard Vlasic. I think he has, it's 3 more years after this year, or is it 4? It's a little long, but it's not.
It's let me go look. Marc-Edouard Vlasic is 4 more years.
I wouldn't mind getting him, but what would you, if you're GMBA, demand to take on 4 years of that contract?
Yeah,
that's going right into the window where we should be getting better.
Yeah, that's a big ask. So I think any contract that's 3 years away is probably one that we'd be willing to take up, because any of our prospects that need big contracts won't be in that window, that time frame. So like Brent Burns is $8 million with 3 years left. Like that's a contract that we could take on. Once you hit that 4-year range, I think it becomes much more harder, because all of a sudden, let's say Logan Cooley plays and all of a sudden he does get 11 games in. at the end of the season for whatever reason, right? And then all of a sudden he's a full-timer. Well, that's 3 years of your contract burn. He's going to need a new contract. What if he blows up the league and he's asking for $8 million, right? Well, now that you've taken on Marc-Edouard Vlasic, you have one more at $7 million. You screw yourself over. Whereas with Brent Burns, you have 3 years left, and as he becomes a UFA, all of a sudden that $8 million gets freed up to pay Logan Cooley. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here. So I think that a 3-year contract is probably about max that you'd be willing to take on, unless they give you some real sweet assets.
So what are those assets you demand? If they're like, no, we want to keep Brent Burns, we need to get rid of Marc-Edouard Vlasic.
If they want to get rid of Vlasic or Carlson, I'm asking for the kid they drafted last year. I really like the kid they drafted last year. Let me go.
What's his name? Oh,
Eklund?
He's a freaking stud. Yeah, Eklund?
Yeah, Eklund.
The kid's a stud.
I would be asking for Eklund. I would be like, yeah, you're giving me Eklund if we're going to be taking on that garbage of a contract. That kid looks real sweet. Yeah, Eklund. William Eklund. Mm-hmm. Yeah, stud. I like him.
So that's not going to happen. So what other bad contracts you thinking? Probably Burns is realistic, depending on if they want to keep him around for like fanfare or whatever. Obviously Shea Weber, because he will likely not play again. I don't know if they ever specified why, but besides injury.
Yeah,
I don't know if they ever specified what it was.
So that's a great point. I think it's a leg. I want to say it's a knee or an ankle or something like that he's done. That's a great point, though, is contracts that we're going to be taking on. It also, you're going to be paying more if they're players that will still play in the NHL. So a Marc-Edouard Vlasic, he's not going on LTIR. He's going to be playing no matter where he is, right? And with that being said, that asking price is going to be more expensive versus a Shea Weber. A Shea Weber, you toss it onto the LTIR, you only got to pay, I believe it's 10% of that cap, and all of a sudden it's monopoly money, right? Another one that I had in mind that I was just looking for is the the Flyers. Thank you. I thank you for your help. I knew you could get through that one.
I'm so good at this.
James Van Riemsdyk was one that I was interested in because he has one more year left at $7 million, and they do have some RFAs that need to get signed. And currently they have a projected cap space of $5 million. So some of those names include Nate Thompson, Owen Tippett, Morgan Frost, Zach McEwen, Keith Yandel is not coming back. Connaughton probably not coming back. Martin Jones is a UFA. Don't know about that one. They also have Sean Couturier and Ryan Ellis on LTIR, injured reserve, not LTIR. Those guys will be making their way back. I don't think that those are going to be long-term out of the lineup. But James Van Riemsdyk at $7 million, I could see that being a potential trade. That could be something. Now the problem is that Bill Armstrong loves his second-round picks, and they've already traded away their second-round picks to us.
But we can trade them Shane Gostisbehere.
We could trade them
JVR. And they have a first-round pick? Because Gostisbehere is a pretty great asset right now.
The problem is that with how bad the Flyers were, I seriously doubt that they'll be trading us any first, especially next year with how loaded that draft is, unless they are real crazy, but I don't think they're going to do that. So you'd have to be looking at assets in order to pick up that JVR contract. And as for assets, let me just scroll through real quick.
Ristolainen.
A name that's out there. Oh, God, please no. I don't need him on my team.
I want chaos. Give me chaos.
A name that is out there, he's a smaller player, but Bobby Brink. I know a lot of people are high on Bobby Brink. That is.
Would you take Carter Hart to have more goaltending depth? He's had a couple of bad years. I don't want to blame him too much. There obviously has to be some blame going his way. But do you think Philadelphia questions themselves about Carter Hart moving forward enough for the Coyotes to swoop in? Because I would not mind Vejmelka, Hart, and Prosvetov all fighting for a net. Because I feel like that can get some good results.
That is a very interesting one, though, but I don't know if they're going to be doing that. Because the reason I say that is Carter Hart's very young. He's 23. He is their only future in net, and you only have JVR for one more year. So how desperate you are to trade away like an amazing asset like Carter Hart, I mean, they'd have to be really desperate. I doubt that one. I would really doubt that one. Another one that I was thinking of was Cam York. They do like him a lot, but that would be another one that I would be like, gimme if you could try to get the opportunity.